Hey everyone, it's Jen with Pursuit 365, and it's our Art Thursday. And I'm here with one of my favorite people, Katsumi Kimoto, former gallery owner, awesome artist, all around great guy who's in our second edition. Hey Kats,
Hey Jen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? I like your skulls.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'm just because it's my son's birthday is on Halloween. I'm doing a haunted hallway outside his bedroom, so I've taken it upon myself to install a bunch of my skulls here, and I've got them running through the hallway here, and we're going to do some kind of a little haunted hallway for a 5-year-old and his
I
friends.
love it.
So it should be fun. So here, listen.
I love it. That's awesome.
Hopefully they don't have too many nightmares.
Do you get a lot of trick-or-treaters?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Well, we get a few.
Yeah,
So,
I love it. I'm very
we're in a
excited.
nice neighborhood, so
Yeah. There was a little boy that came into my house one day. First year I lived here. He was probably about 4 years old, and he came right into right inside the house. He didn't just take the candy, and he
yeah.
wouldn't leave. And the dad was howling, but he was like walking around my house going, I like this kid.
Yeah, nice art in here. Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder what he's going to be when he grows up.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we just wanted to, I'll tell everybody, Katz and I talked about what we wanted to talk about, and we just wanted to talk about art and marketing and working with galleries and all kinds of fun stuff for anybody up and coming in this industry.
That's right. Yeah.
So Katz and I we met a few years ago. I'll explain how we met. Actually, I first met you when you were at Arts Umbrella event. And I walked up to you and introduced myself, and you probably thought, who is this crazy woman?
No, I never thought you were crazy. I always thought you were great. So yeah, no, it was a start of a really good friendship. Yeah.
I was contacted by Jason Dusso, who's also in the book and the 2022 book with you. And Jason was looking for representation. So I called Katz and I said, hey, Katz, you don't really know me, but this is what I wanted to talk to you about. And if you think I'm nuts, you can hang up the phone. And you were like, no, don't hang up. I'm listening.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah.
Right. So we started to talk about it. Now, I did cold call you, which is not always the best idea. I think it's always good to, if you're going to contact a gallery, because Katz and I did meet a couple of times and knew each other from the industry. I didn't feel it was awkward to call you. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I would suggest if anybody is going to approach a gallery to be represented, though, the best thing to do is to first introduce yourself in an email.
Yeah.
The link to your work to show what you do, what you're passionate about, and then ask if you could set up an interview. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's all a matter of how much people own it. So when you called me, you were all over it. You owned it. You're like, hey, this is me. I run Rome Gallery at City Square, and I'd like to come in and talk to you about an artist. And so I was pretty receptive to that. And obviously it started a really good working relationship and great friendship as well. But I'd say when a lot of people want to approach a gallery, the first thing is to make sure your work fits. So, do your research, because you don't just want to, be applying to galleries if they only show historical work and stuff like that, which a lot of people will do. So they'll make those mistakes. But definitely. It's kind of one of those, there's two sides to it. One of them, you can be really brave and you can go walk into a gallery and talk to people. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to get shut down and you're going to leave possibly feeling defeated. Or you're just going to chalk it up as another, okay, well, I've tried another one. Or you're going to make an impact. And, it's a classic thing where somebody will walk into a gallery and they'll say, I have some artwork in my car. Would you like to take a look? And, I'd probably say 9 out of 10 galleries are going to say no. But if you meet the right person on the right day at the right time, they'll say, okay, bring them in. We'll take a look.
But that's more about being able to read your audience.
That's right.
And I mean, nothing against most artists, but most artists, they have gallerists for a reason, and they're not always good at reading the room, right?
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, we've talked about a couple of instances. Like, a good time not to do this is at somebody else's show.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's the whole decorum and the whole, when is a good time to approach a gallery, and anybody that's trying to take up people's time at an opening, especially the gallery staff or the art dealers or the gallerists, it's a major faux pas for sure.
Yeah,
You
we're
don't.
busy trying to sell the other artist's work.
That's right. Yeah.
We're not there
Literally.
to serve wine to people. We're there
Yeah.
to sell the artwork.
That's right.
We need
Yeah.
to be completely focused on the people that are in the room and watching everybody and saying that person looks really interested in this piece. So yeah, really a faux pas. And another thing that's not a good thing is don't down talk somebody else's work to make yours look better.
Oh God, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many times it's happened, but I've been sitting there in the gallery and somebody's walked in and they look around at the work and they say, my work is better than this stuff. And I'm like, well, you can leave now.
In your opinion.
Please don't talk anymore.
In your opinion, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the other time I used to get approached at City Square is when I was flipping the whole, do you remember how big that place was?
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd be like taking all the work down, working with a couple of the artists and trying to redo the whole show. And you're in a mindset. And it's like, okay, where am I putting it? I used to call it the build-a-wall because I had so much art in there. And somebody would come in and they would want to just demand your time. It's like, do you not see what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm coming across as rude, but this is demanding my attention right now. So yeah, read the room, read the gallery owner, see if it's time.
Yeah, exactly. Those are great tips for sure. I mean, totally, be courteous, look at what's happening, put yourself in the other person's shoes for a moment. And if you want to introduce yourself in that situation, be really short and sweet and respectful and say, I don't want to take up very much of your time. Right.
Yeah. I just had this is a funny story about reaching out to a gallery. I went into my Instagram the other day and I'm really bad at Instagram. I like Facebook. I just am not great at Instagram. I do it.
Yeah.
But I found all these in the old message requests, which I never look at. So there was this really cool artist and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I actually like her stuff. So I sent her a message back. Her immediate response was, you're answering me now?
Oh, yeah.
It was 2019. Okay. And I went, yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm really bad at this. And she immediately bounced back. She was like, I'm so sorry. I've just moved to Vancouver, to Victoria. I feel really defeated. I was selling at a gallery in Winnipeg. I'm sorry I said that. I was like, we're all good. It's all good. Don't worry.
Oh, that's nice. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Her work is really cool. And she's already signed up. She's already doing a show. She's going to be in the book. She's doing all the right things. Right.
Oh, good. That's great.
So that's the other thing we were going to talk about. So I only charge $60 a year to host my website. Okay. Costs me a lot more money than that to have people on there.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
I've started to do is ask people like yourself, who's on there now, which I'm totally honored by. You have to kind of work with me though, because we need to market you. You can't just build it and they will come.
That's right.
You have to market the work. You have to be an active participant. You have to do this book for $399, or you have to partake in a monthly show for $249, or you have to partake. I'm paid a show. Okay.
Yeah.
I tell everybody I don't have a client list, but I'm happy to market you because that's what I do better than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and in truth, you do have a client list because people buy from you, people see your stuff and they buy from it. And some of them are old clients when you had Rome at City Square, and other ones are just follow you online and just buy from you that way. So there is a client list there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did you feel about that? I mean, you had an expectation when people were coming to Kimoto. I charge less commission, but you charge 50% typical commission in a gallery.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't understand that. So let's just talk a little bit about, you bring the clients, whose sale is it? That's one that's always sticky, eh?
Yeah. Really in truth, it's usually, when people start working with a gallery, especially a seasoned art dealer, or somebody that's just really good and new, you and I have talked about, Robert over at Lahang Gallery there in Vancouver, and just how
Robert, we love you, and
how his personality is so suited. You just want to show with him, you want to buy from him. So you can be somebody who is fairly new to the game, and you just know they're going to be successful because they have the personality for it.
100%.
So but really what it comes down to, I think, is when you start working with a gallery, is trust, for one. So it's never, speaking from my own experience and working with artists, it's never something that you can say, okay, 3 months down the road, you're going to have results. You're going to have sold a bunch of your work. You're going to, if you go into an art gallery, if you go into a gallery that shows your work, whether they're doing a group show or whether they're doing a solo show, and you don't see your work on the wall, don't react to that immediately and go, oh my God, this gallery doesn't like me, because artists internalize so much. So, you just have to trust that the gallery is working for you. And like, I've worked with artists, so many artists who, they start their career with me, and they have a number of shows, and they have a show that's not as successful as one, and they go, oh, wait a second, okay, maybe I have to pull my work from this gallery and I have to go show somewhere else. And it's like, no, if you've changed your work, you just have to trust us for a while, and we'll pick right back up on speed, because because transitions take a certain amount of time, right? And so it's one of those things that I would tell my artists, and mind you, I would work a little differently because I'm an artist and I've worked in galleries, and so when I had my own gallery, I always tried to link the two together and be like, okay, so you're going to get to learn a bit of the business side here. We're going to be a team, and I'm going to try to do my best to inform you, because the other galleries I worked at, there was this gray area where the artists didn't feel they could get into, they didn't feel they could communicate with the dealers, and the dealers didn't feel they could communicate the business side to the artist. So I tried to do that. Yeah. And in doing so, it was just a simple thing. Like, if you go into the gallery and you don't see your work on the wall, it doesn't mean that the dealer hasn't pulled it out to show every client, especially the good clients, that they have this new artist. And one of the ways that it works is the more that these good clients, loyal clients or new clients see the work, the more that they're going to start to follow you. They're not always going to buy, oh, I see this artist's work, I get it, I'm going to buy it. Sometimes they have to see that work over a year or two.
Gosh. Seriously,
So,
it's like, it's not, people don't, it's not a necessity, right?
That's
it's
right.
Something that people have to go buy. It's a want. It's
That's right. Yeah. And when you're showing as an artist, in a group show or in out of inventory, or even show to show, sometimes people aren't going to buy from that first show. Sometimes they're going to go, oh, this is what the artist work is about. I kind of like it. I'm getting into like it. And then, it's a learning process. So they fall in love with the artist over time, right?
They come back, they come back, they come back, they come back. It's like me when I bought my David Yurman ring. I looked at it for a year. It's like, yeah, I love it, but it's super expensive. I love it, but it's super expensive, right?
It's like cars.
Expensive in my mind.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. You want to look at something, you fall in love with it, you want to test drive it, you wait until you have the money for it, and then you buy it, right? So the same thing could be said with some artists, right? Also, the trust goes into how to price your work, possible direction. I would never tell an artist, like, you should do this because this sells, but I would educate them on, like, okay, these are more likely to sell, right? I'm not going to say paint,
overpriced too.
And some of the galleries I know would do that. They would say, only paint this because this is what sells. And, I would never do that. I would always say, follow your own direction here, but, just here's some information, you take it or leave it, right? So
I've heard that story from many artists, right?
Yeah.
They didn't want me to do this. They only wanted me to do this, right? It's like, okay, you got to do it's you. But, when it comes to pricing, I mean, there's a story of an artist that brought a piece of art. She did a show with me. So she brought in all the artwork. And there was one piece somebody was interested in, and it didn't have a price on it. So typically her pricing was probably about 50 cents per square inch, which is where an emerging artist should start, I think, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, this one piece I called, it was probably 24 by 18, we'll say, okay. And I said to her, the client's interested in this piece. How much is it? $7,000. I said, okay. If you want to keep that painting that badly, come and take it out of my gallery. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't, it's that whole pricing question of, well, it took me, another artist, well, do you know how long this took me to do? I said, no, but when you get better, will it be cheaper?
Yeah.
I don't care how long it took you to do. There has to be a formula of pricing your artwork.
Yeah, that's right.
That's fair to the customer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, no,
So,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. A good friend of mine and a fellow artist, he had a great saying. His name's Ruben, and he had a great saying, which was, or not saying per se, but you basically want to price them to move. So you want to have that sweet spot where somebody's not going to think about them too long, but you don't feel like you're losing your shirt, and you don't feel like you've done all this labor, and it's a labor of love. Mind you, you're producing this work over a period of time. You're making it as perfect as you want to make it, but it also has to be something where it's worth your while to let it go and not charge an arm and a leg. Because the thing is
and the
the last thing you
problem
want.
is when they
Yeah,
start moving, that they come back to you and they say, everybody's telling me I'm not charging enough. And I'd say to them, who's telling you that? Other artists?
yeah,
Yes. Is their work moving?
that's
There's a
right.
little bit of that jealousy attached, that it's
Yeah,
like, well, it has to be a happy medium, right?
that's right. Yeah, and then there's and then there's also, go for it.
Mine's coming downstairs. It's all good.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
Tucker.
yeah. And then
Looking at
yeah,
fingers.
so sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But there's also people that are going to say, "Oh, wait a second, the galleries take too much," which is another classic one. And they go, "Okay, well, the gallery's taking 50% or the gallery's taking 30%. Why is that?" Well, for let's just look at the nuts and bolts of it. The gallery is paying a huge amount of overhead, probably in the range of 3 to 6 to 10 times more than somebody's studio rent. Although the artist is paying the costs um, materials and canvas
Of
and paint,
course.
paint and supplies and all that stuff,
We
and their
also have
studio
the
rent.
clients.
Yeah, but you've got somebody, you're paying staff to be there. You're paying for like you mentioned, the
Your
website
websites,
and
for everybody that helps you, your graphic designers, the printers that make the beautiful marketing
yeah,
material.
yeah, your invitations.
Pretty
Yep.
expensive.
Yeah, yeah. You have this crazy overhead, and well, wait a second. Why do they take 30 or 50%? Why do they take so much? Well, the reason they take so much is because they have to sell so much before they even start to make money, right?
Right.
So that's another big one.
The zoo is here. I'm sorry. Now I've got both cats on the. Nobody
Oh,
can
I
see
see.
that both cats are on the dining room table, and the dog is right here. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you have the expertise of selling,
Right?
right? So
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, you trusted me to do this for you. And, I mean, I would have people that, you know, I have one artist that I work with, Sherry Klassen. I'm going to say her name. I freaking
yeah,
love working with Sherry because every
yeah. That's
time
right.
she sells something,
Yeah,
even though she has sold it, even, okay,
yeah,
she's like, Jennifer, you show our work all the time. There's never a moment when you're not promoting.
yeah.
That's why people see my work. I'm happy to give you your 30% commission.
That's right.
But how do you do that? Oh, well, you figure it into the price of your artwork,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
No,
Sherry always does it. But it's
yeah,
like people will say, well, they didn't see it. They didn't come to you. It's like, okay, I'm not going to lose sleep over this because I would never sleep, honestly.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, it's true. We love artists like that. The artists who, they trust us, they're easy to work with. They listen to what we have to say, they make informed decisions, sometimes for the direction of the work, sometimes not, sometimes just general patience and understanding and that kind of stuff, and going, and the long game, it always pays off for them. And you have a really good relationship. I myself, I can think of times where when I was a young artist, I would be in a gallery for a certain amount of time, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change galleries. And then I thought later, well, I never should have done that. I should have just stuck with that gallery. The dealer was very respectful, very sweet, and I trusted them, and I should have just continued that. But you know, when you're young and you're an artist, you don't always, sometimes you think, okay, well, I've got to move, I've got to make a move. And even when I had Komodo Gallery for the 6 years there, I still sell a number of artists' work off of the website, and then I also just deal it privately. And I do that for the artists who are like your artist here.
Maintain a friendship with you and
Ye-
trust that you're still
That's
going
right.
to work with them.
Yeah, that's right. And other artists have burnt those bridges after years of working together, and it's really sad. But it's there's definitely we like those artists, and it continues to be a really win-win mutual mutually beneficial relationship, and friendship. And, I probably
100%.
say,
And we don't have to go away mad. Like I'm Lauren Morris. I love Lauren's work. For
yeah,
whatever reason, I couldn't sell it. Okay.
yeah, that's right. That happens too. Yeah,
She's working with Robert now. Okay.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
just reached out to her and said, hey, Lauren, why don't you be in the book? And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah, sure. We've remained friends. It's not personal. Like, I love her work. I want her to succeed. I want somebody to sell her work. It's
That's right.
spectacular, right?
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes, sometimes it's just not meant to be. The communication between a particular artist and a particular dealer just doesn't drive. There's something where it's like, okay, we can't connect here. We've tried for a number of months. We've tried for a couple of years, given it a good run. It's not going to work, and or sales. But usually, I haven't found that to be the case. Usually, it's a longevity plan,
Yeah.
but like you said, those artists who we continue to work with, and continue to love working with, they're hard to find. And I'd probably say, they're, maybe 1 in 5, or, maybe 1 in 10, even, when you find those artists who, really trust you and see the benefits. And, often it has to do with experience too, because, I'm sure like myself, other artists, even that I've worked with, look back and go, wait a second, I really liked being in that gallery. I really liked working with that dealer.
Yeah.
And I regret that I left too soon, or I regret that it didn't work out. And then there's some artists who will show 5 or 6 different galleries. They're always changing galleries, and it's because,
Well, and you know that too. I mean, you see
yeah,
them changing galleries, right?
yeah,
And what they don't realize though is you and I are always going to make a phone call.
that's right. Yeah.
So, do you know this person? Do you like working with them? Like, are they easy? I don't want any drama in my life. If something becomes too much drama, it's like, okay, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we've talked about that as well. We talked about, like, we call each other and we say, "Hey, I need a little. We need to talk to our group of,
Gallerist Anonymous.
yeah, that's right, our dealers anonymous or something, and I need some support right now." And and it gets really easy when you've been doing it for a few years to go, wait a second, this one artist is causing me stress. Let him go. It's easy because you go, wait a second, they're high maintenance, their sales are whatever they are, and of all the stable right now, there's one artist who's causing me too much stress. And the minute that you, as a dealer, the minute that those people are no longer in your stable of artists, you just take a big breath of relief and you go, wait a second, oh, I don't have this to deal with anymore.
Right.
Now everybody's really understanding and easy to work with, and they want to make this, if they want to make a career decision, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, and because
Well,
once
we do talk to each
you
other.
don't have that emotional, yeah.
And we do talk to each other. Like yesterday, Robert, a couple of days ago, I was speaking with Robert, who I love. Like you said, he's easy. I wish he I lived there, right?
That's right.
Both of us should have opened a gallery and we would have like rocked the world, right? But he was talking about somebody that approached the gallery, and he said, "Oh yeah, she knows you. She wanted to start." He said, "But I shut it down immediately." I'm like, did she not think that we were going to talk to each other?
Yeah.
Like, don't trash talk people to other gallerists. We all know each other.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And some of us do, but often one of the things that we find is we learn the same lessons. So if like somebody phones a gallery and says, "Hey, you worked with this artist before." "Oh yeah, I worked with this artist." "Yeah, this is some of their personality traits. This is what you have to deal with." Sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't. We try it out, and then we go. Usually, a year or two later, you go, "Oh, I should have followed my intuition on that one, or I should have,
Yeah, and I will also say, sometimes it's just a personality difference. Like, it's just because she didn't get along with me or he didn't get along with me doesn't mean they're not going to get along with anybody else.
That's right. Yeah.
Try them. Their work is great.
Yeah, that's right.
And also with my gallery, which I wanted all my artists to succeed. I guess I learned that mentality when I was a manager at Holt Renfrew.
Yeah.
In the cosmetic department, my friend Danuta and I managed.
Yeah.
Everybody was always getting promoted and bigger jobs, and people were like, "Well, doesn't that bother you?" It's like, no, we're doing a good job if that's what's happening.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I had artists that were going on to that next level, I appreciated somebody like you and somebody like, well, Robert wasn't there at the time, but it's like, okay, can you take a look at their work and help them out to become like at your level of a gallery as compared to Rome, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I took on emerging. I didn't want to take on any established artists because there's a very big difference in that.
That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and big part of it is, and one of the things that I do now is I'll meet with artists who I know through the industry or who have met me or heard me speak or something like that, and I'll do one-on-ones. I'll do, I'll go for coffee or go for lunch with them, or I'll go do a studio visit and I'll do a one-on-one, and they end up being really great. And essentially, I get to be in that position where I can look at the work, I can listen to what they're saying, and I can give them, my perspective. Sometimes it's just something they need to hear. Other times I'm saying, okay, well, you're doing this really well. You're doing this really well. We'll talk about pricing. I'll help them sort out their pricing.
Yep.
And it's a little bit of a consultant fee for them, and they can write it off and they get some professional advice. So that way they have a sounding board to say, how do I approach galleries? Where does this body of work go? How do I market this body of work? How do I use this? How do I do that? And but there's a good part of it where I'm also saying, okay, you're doing this right, but this part here, you got to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Because this habit that you've established here and the way you're looking at it is not helping you, right? So get out of your own way here, do this, and once you do that, you're going to notice that, you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
You don't have to be stressed out about this stuff. So it's interesting.
Do you miss having a physical space?
There's parts of it I miss. I miss
you have your studio, so it's different though, right?
Yeah, no, my studio is a messy place where I throw paint around, and sometimes it looks like a studio where I can show all types of new paintings to clients, and other times it looks like a garage with way too much stuff and painting stacked here or there. And then I'll clean it up and I'll do my finishing with the resin on top, and but no, my studio is like paint all over the floor, paint all over the walls, that kind of stuff. Having an art gallery, there is parts of it I miss. I miss the social atmosphere, although mind you, right now no galleries are doing that. So I miss the kind of social party thing. I miss having 200 plus people in my space and a big party and that kind of stuff. I also miss the rush of selling. So there, as you know, when it comes to sales and it comes to shows, there's a good thing where you kind of at the end of the day or at the end of the weekend, you go, man, we did good. We had a great show. We sold,
all those red
15 pieces in this show, 30 pieces this month. It was a good month, right? So, yeah, parts of that I miss, and I do miss, representing other artists and having people come into the gallery and telling the story of the artists and making sales that way. So, but there's also parts of it where I don't miss, which is, working with stressful artists, having to have consistently good months over and manage to pay your overhead.
It's a guessing game, right? It's a guessing game when you have an artist and you have a show, especially.
That's right.
You could think the work is great, but then everybody it doesn't sell.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't resonate with everybody, and some of the artists you have to build up. Like we've been talking about here. So yeah. I mean, how about yourself? Do you miss having Rome there?
I'm a different kind of cat, right?
Yeah.
So I have, as you could tell, a very limited attention span. What is happening around here? Jesus. Okay. So I miss the shows selling. Yeah. I love selling. I selling. I mean, it's like you either do or you don't, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, I've noticed you at some of the charity auctions that we'll do, and you'll be like, Cats, don't talk to me right now. I'm busy selling. Get out of my way. It's like,
100%. We're there to raise money for a charity and to get everybody to know who you are. And, so my whole thing is if you donate a piece of artwork, I want people to know who you are as an artist, not just to get the donation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, every year for Arthritis Research Canada, I have help with that art auction. Okay.
Yeah.
But last year I had everybody sitting around here on my dining room table because they had to do it online. Yeah. There's your painting. When your piece came up, I'm like, who's buying Katz's piece? Let's get those bid sheets going, ladies. Okay.
That was the koi thing, right? Yeah.
And one of my good friends bought that piece, and then she also bought one of Christian Cassaday's pieces.
Oh yeah, cool. I've got one of his too. Yeah, they're great.
I love them. I absolutely love his stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But, for me, do I miss, I miss the sales. I miss the night of doing the actual
install.
install.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah, me
the
too.
show, doing the installation. I don't miss every aspect of it. I mean, honestly, like I'm one of those weird people that I don't miss being in Vancouver. I miss my friends immensely,
Yeah, that's right.
but I'm happy being in my home here in southwestern Ontario in a small city of 70,000 people. Okay.
Yeah.
I love working on this book project though, and on the art magazine, because to me, that's like the marketing aspect is what I love most.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, let's talk about that for a sec. We were talking earlier about expenses, and you take this book for example. So there's 365 people, 365 word story on each people, and it's just a marketing. It's just a great marketing opportunity.
Look at this.
You
And
know,
it's a beautiful book,
right? Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
I
and
mean, every
I've
person's
approached.
name is on the cover.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and I've approached numerous people about being in the next one, which is a men's and women's edition.
Non-gender
And,
specific because
and
the
it's just a no-brainer. We would spend on average uh 300, 400, $500 on invitations for a show, to have these printed invitations which people would take. We'd give some to the artist would mail them out. We'd mail out to our mailing list, anywhere from 200 to 300 by mail. We also send them out via so we get the design done, we send it out digitally as well, and then we send out our MailChimp and we do all that.
Yep.
Well, for me to be in a book with 365 other people who are going to get a copy of the book and give away the book either as a gift or put it in people's offices or doing that kind of stuff, it's just a no-brainer.
You're gonna go on Amazon the day the book launches, and you're
Yeah.
gonna buy your copy of the book, okay?
Yeah,
And you're gonna be a co-author in an Amazon bestseller.
that's right. Yeah. And the other thing that I like about it is it's your opportunity not to just do a bio and be like, okay, well, this is, I went to school here, I did this, I did all this stuff, I opened this business. It's actually your opportunity to do an inspirational story, do a story about overcoming obstacles, do a story about what brings you joy in life, really a different kind of story. And after the last couple of years, people could use some good inspiration and some good stories. And for artists, again, it's, when you look through the first 365 book, what you'll notice is that the artists that have a picture of themselves with a painting in the background, it's like a double feature, because you get to see the person, but you also get to see what they do in the background. So, and then because
I'll
the book
use
has
mine.
contact information.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. Because the book has contact information, you can look up the person's website, Instagram, and so on and so forth. So
Well, the book is only the one part. There's the digital component where it's your flog your wares portion of the book, where
that's
you're
right. Yeah.
featured on our Instagram, Facebook, websites, shared. And it's
Yeah.
like, hi, I'm Kat. Here's my art bio. And
Yeah,
here's
that's
my
right.
artwork. Please buy it.
Yeah. Well, I'm old school, so I tend to like all the printed stuff a lot more. And the fact that, it's almost like a documentation. Okay, these are 365 people in Canada at this age doing what they do with their stories here. I already know from a few people who I've got interested in the book to do their story. I always know that there's fellow artists in there who do great work. There's fellow dealers in there. There's actors. There's musicians. There's a lot of people who I already know, and I found that even in the other copy, which my wife was in. I looked through the book, and I knew that there was a couple people in there. But when I actually looked through the book, I knew a lot more, and I didn't even know that they were in it. So it was really neat in that sense, right?
And they're from across Canada. So people in Nova Scotia that wouldn't have otherwise seen your work will see your work.
That's right. Yeah.
And in Toronto and, all the big epicenters. Like, I mean, it's pretty Winnipeg. Winnipeg has a huge art scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then also, if you're talking about the cost, producing something like this on your own would cost a fortune. Producing anything that looked this quality and had this print quality, never mind the distribution, would cost a fortune. So you're kind of sharing in the cost of that to get it produced, and then you have all these other benefits, right?
Yeah, 2,000 of those books cost $35,000 to print.
Yeah,
just put it into perspective, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's I think it's a great opportunity, and I people that don't jump on it, I just don't think that they're really
understanding what they can get out of it, right?
Sorry.
Understanding really what they can get out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, when you look at how much we spend in a business, especially art promotion, it's a no-brainer.
And
So
I think, like, I mean, I've truly only talked to a couple of people who are like, so you're asking me to, I'm paying you to write a story. I'm like, okay, so you don't get it. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah,
You know, if you don't get it, you don't get it. Or I don't have anything to talk about. Well, I'm 58 years old. I haven't lived this long without having a story, right?
that's right. Well, and some people, they're private people and they don't want to have a profile. They don't want to have a story, and I can appreciate that, right? But if you're in a business like where you want to have people look out and see you and see your work and hear your story, and it's going to improve your business, then there you go. But even for me, like if somebody buys a painting from me, often in the gallery or something, I'd give them a Komodo gallery hoodie, or I'd give them a bottle of wine for their evening or something like that. So, for me to have a bunch of copies of books sitting around and say, here's a copy of our book. You've got 2 or 3 of our artists in there, a bunch of other people I know, take it home and enjoy it, right? And some of the stories are really great, right? So
yeah, it's as much as, and it doesn't, like, I mean, we would prefer if somebody told a personal story. If you don't want to share that story, you could share, like, I mean, we had a woman that came in at the very end last year, a young woman. She was an engineer and works with all men. So her story was based around that. I mean, we have stories of, like Kachiyun's is my favorite, where Kachiyun is one of the Rome Gallery artists that I've worked with for a long time. And when I moved to Vancouver, I moved from Vancouver in 2018, I went online and I noticed that she'd come out. So I contacted her. So she, not only did she come out, but she bought the house next door. Her and her ex-husband and her new partner co-parent. They eat dinner together every night.
Oh,
and, she said, honestly, Jen, if I had done this when I was living in Iran, I would have been stoned to death. So, that, like, this is the difference in my life now. So, like, that was a great story. Anyway, and we all don't have a lot of trauma. I don't feel like I have a lot of trauma in my life.
That's right.
We go through stuff. We handle it the way we can handle it.
Yeah.
But
some people's stories are amazing. We both have, we both know Trevor Phillips there.
Yeah.
And, his story of overcoming after a major getting driven over by a car. I mean, it's
right.
And then realizing what he wanted to do with his life and how he always wanted to do art. And it's like, life is too short. Let's make some art, and now he's showing in multiple galleries, selling online, selling through the galleries. It's really great. And
he works with Robert. And Robert said he's one of the guys that gets it.
Yeah.
He totally gets it. No matter what, still go through the hangar,
Yeah.
So like he gets it. So in return, they get it. And he's in Montreal and he'll be in the Toronto one. And he just gets it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
He makes it easy.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, it's always fun to talk to you. I always enjoy these conversations.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was it's always, as much as we could say you should do this or that, I love working with artists. It's a whole fresh perspective, the way they see the world, the things that they create. Like, God, like, people will say to me, are you an artist? And I'm like, no, I'm not an artist. I've done two paintings in my entire life. I don't wake up in the morning and feel that urge to create something.
Yeah.
I guess my art was a curation. Like, I loved setting up the gallery and putting all the artwork together. Like, my artwork is like home design, right?
Yeah.
So, but I loved working with all the artists and seeing what they did new and the way that they could create. And, when you think about, have you ever tried to paint a peony? It's almost impossible. Like, mine look like round circles, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also sometimes people need help with, actually when they're buying, they need help having somebody guide them through the process of being like, okay, what are you looking for? I've got a good eye for design. I've got a good eye for this, and I think these pieces are going to work, which you obviously have, right? So, so that's a big part of it. When I opened my gallery, one of the things that I knew was that I knew I wasn't going to be open as a gallery for 30 or 40 years, like some of the other longtime dealers here in Vancouver. So one of the things that I wanted to leave the impression with my artists was like, okay, everybody in this room because we're a new gallery, we've been here for a year or two now, and we get together and we do these hash outs where we sit around in a circle and we talk about things. And one of the goals that I would say was like, you know, when we're gone as a gallery, we want everybody in this room to be friends when they bump into each other 30 years from now, knowing that a bunch of them have got their start at Kimoto Gallery, or they met at Kimoto during these years. And so I said that early on, knowing that, you know, I wasn't going to be necessarily having a physical space for all that time. But sure enough, it's true. You know, if two artists who got together at the gallery, they run into each other at a party or an auction or someplace, and they go, hey, you know, and so they have that instant friendship, which is really, for me, what it was a big part of that. And after we closed our gallery, we got numerous people coming into my studio and or bumping into me and saying, you know what, that was one of my favorite galleries. You know, it was a gallery where people had fun. You know, people weren't walking around in groups of 2 or 3 around the gallery and keeping to themselves. People were walking up to each other and laughing and hugging. And
I love going to your openings.
Yeah, it was
your openings. I'm like, not like, I don't typically, if I'm a guest, don't work a room. I stand back and watch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. And I used to just love going to your openings because it was always so busy in there and everybody was always having such a great time, and there was photographs being taken and everybody was chatting and enjoying each other. And even though, like, I mean, I remember going to a couple of shows, and now the artists are going to be at, like, Mike Solomon. Like, his work is so beautiful. Honestly.
Oh man, he's amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I mean, he's a great big good looking guy. You know, I would never just walk up and go, hey, how's it going? Like, I love your work. With his spectacular wife, who's also in the book. But anyway, now I've gotten to know Mike a little bit more through the book, and you know, his work is just gorgeous, like gorgeous. That last sepia feel of the old world that he did. Oh my God.
Absolutely. And with somebody like Mike, you know, the amount of beautiful painting that's in the works for the price you get, you know, he's one of the best artists we showed as far as the quality for the price, because you know, you've got something that was very original and beautifully rendered and painted, you know, and he had his own style as well. So yeah, definitely an artist that a lot of people liked. And, you know, Mike was a great artist to have shows because, you know, you got a really nice mix of both collectors coming out locally, but also friends and family coming out and supporting. And we were talking a little bit about, we're touching on it anyways, as far as how, you know, friends and artists will say to an artist, why don't you raise your prices, or why don't you do this? And, you know, it's really nice when you see that an artist can have gallery prices and their family and friends continue to support them and continue to come out. And, you know, and with Mike's shows, you could see people were waiting for him to have another show. You know, he would have a show, and then, you know, a year and a half later, he'd have another show, and you could tell people were waiting for that show to buy one. They weren't going to go check him out in the studio necessarily. They weren't going to go, you know, they were waiting for the next show so that they could run in first and they could buy a piece. And that's always a great feeling when you see that happen for an artist.
Supporting the artist and the gallery.
Right? That's right. Yeah. So
100%. And there's nothing wrong with an artist selling a piece of artwork through their themselves.
Oh yeah, no,
it's your gallery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's a great skill to have, and it's great when artists are, you know, are business minded as well, and they can close sales and that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, it's definitely better. It's better for everyone when they can do that, right? So
yeah, and I mean, I had a situation with one of Iris Malo, great artist. I love Iris's work, and I posted something. I ended up having a client that wanted to buy it. It was showing at the Van Dop. Okay.
Yep.
So I called the owner and said, take the sale. Take the sale. It's through your gallery. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sending the client to you. You take the sale. Yeah.
Right. And I said to Iris, you can pay me back. Next time you do a commission piece, remember me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can work together and make things happen for artists. It doesn't have to be, well, that was my sale, and why didn't you, like, you know, it's like, whatever. Let's all work together. We're not, you know.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Often, you know, and that's another thing is, like, dealer to dealer you're talking about. You can pick up the phone and you can say, hey, listen, I've got this sale for a piece that you have from one of my clients. Let's split the commission. It's just a classic old art dealer thing to do. They'll just, split the commission, and some people aren't open to it, and that's just the way it goes. Other people are
If
totally
anything, if you can do it financially, like to include the person that got you the whole deal, include them. Like you and Jason would give me a small commission off of every piece that was sold because I had made the introduction.
That's right. Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Oh, totally. It goes a long way in the trust. It goes along. Like if you make a deal with somebody, you stick to it. It's that simple. Like you make a deal. Okay, wait a second. These are the parameters which we're dealing with, and you honor those, and you have a great relationship that lasts a long time. And one of the things I've noticed is that as soon as I see people breaking those deals or getting to, for lack of a better word, greedy, I just go, okay, well, wait a second. We don't have to work together. I don't need to work with this kind of stress. I'd rather work with people who understand the value of a good art dealer and a good advisor, and and there's lots of artists out there who do. So I always appreciate working with people like that.
Are you going in the crawl this year?
No. I'm just, it's too weird with all the restrictions and the passport stuff. So I've just decided just to not be part of it. Last year, our building wasn't open, and it was a real hit to the building, because a lot of people make a lot of money from the crawl at 1,000.
My artist always said that. That's
Yeah,
when they
I'm just not into I'm just not into it all, right? I don't want to make people clean their hands, have a traffic thing through it, wear masks. I mean, I don't even personally like to wear a mask for one day, never mind 4 days or 2 weekends of 4 days. And then also have a lot of friends who are unvaxxed and that kind of thing too. So I'm not going to discriminate against them and say, hey, normally you come to my studio and you drink wine with me for a night or two. This year, you're not allowed. So I just think it's a slippery slope, and I'm just going to not be part of it this year. And hopefully next year it'll be better. And I won't have to make that call. But the crawl for me, it's a lot of work. So I actually don't mind taking a year off, because you talk, at the end of it, you're exhausted, right? It's like it's like when you do your art shows, and what's the big one that you do down at the convention center?
Oh, Art Vancouver.
Yeah, Art Vancouver. Like when you're done that, like at the end of the weekend, you're burnt. And so
I used to do trade shows when I worked at makeup school, and oh my God, like you're exhausted.
That's right.
Exhausted I'm like that when I work at a clothing store in Sarnia. I'm so busy on Friday and Saturday. By the time I come home, I'm just like, I'm done. I can't. Yeah. I want my tequila and soda, and I don't want to talk to anybody.
That's right. Well, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing like doing shows. Like you would know, you install a show, you get all the wine, you get all the stuff ready for your party, you have a party, and then somebody will invite you to another show, and you'll be like, you know what? I don't feel like going to a show because I've done, I just finished one, and I just want to rest for a week, because it does zap the energy out of you. And but mind you, if it was a good friend show, I'd always make the effort and definitely go show up and celebrate with them. But I'm sure you find it as well. You as a dealer, you get a lot of people inviting you to shows to try.
You used to always try to drag me out. You and Chris used to try to drag me. I'm like, I'm old. I don't want to go out.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, you got to come to this one. This one's going to be great. Yeah, no, but and sometimes they were, so. But often,
Becker's show was always good, and Paul's in the book as well. His shows were always great, but I never went.
Absolutely.
Never like them that go up or
down. On awesome epic shows. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah.
I got past it. I just got old. I'm happy here in my little city.
Oh no, you always had a good time when we go out to shows together. It was always fun.
You and Chris were like awesome.
Yeah.
We always had a good time together. For 100%, we did.
That's right.
Those are the things I miss about Vancouver.
Right? Yeah. That's why we miss having you.
I'll be back though. I'll be there in May, and
okay, good.
Doing the Arthritis Research Canada ARC soiree. You're going to put another piece in that, you said, and a bunch of my artists are putting work in, and they are a sponsor for Shelley sponsors through Fresh Magazine the event.
Okay.
So Shelley's are also like involved in this whole thing. You get to meet Shelley next week. You're going to pick up your magazine. So
that's right. Yeah.
The very enigmatic Shelley Lynn Hughes, who is the person that made this all happen, which is great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a pretty awesome thing altogether. Like it really is. It's a really great opportunity, and it's turning into a great network of people. And you
And
know,
you're looking at your magazine, and I've never seen a magazine. I can hardly wait to get my hands on that.
oh yeah, okay, good.
Again, you're on the cover of a magazine as well.
That's right. Yeah, with just a little face, but yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm stoked. So
Well, Kat, it's been great talking.
likewise, Jen.
I think we're gonna. This is going to be posted tomorrow, Thursday. Katz and I are talking now on Wednesday, so Thursday at 7:30, I could post it. I'm gonna probably post it earlier than that, to be perfectly
Okay,
honest.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been great hanging out as usual. And I'll talk to you with some crazy story soon.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Okay. Thanks, Jen.
Bye, Kat.
Bye.